Agnihotri's film on the horrific exodus and, as the film says, about the genocide. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the film. He said that this calls out the conspiracy to discredit the film that is happening. Meanwhile, the Congress party is claiming that this movie, The Kashmir Files, is full of lies and is distorting history. Take a look at this report.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22
हमारे लोग मर रहे हैं सर।
कश्मीर चल रहा है, खुलेआम कश्मीरी हिंदुओं का कत्ले आम हो रहा है।
Vivek Agnihotри's hotly debated film, The Kashmir Files, has got a big endorsement from Prime Minister Modi himself. As controversy rages on, the Prime Minister took a swipe at the critics of the film, saying that there's been a conspiracy to discredit the movie.
जो लोग हमेशा फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन के झंडे लेकर के घूमते हैं, वो पूरी जमात बौखला गई पिछले 5-6 दिन से। और ये फिल्म का तथ्यों के आधार पर, आर्ट के आधार पर उसकी विवेचना करने के बजाय उसको डिस्क्रेडिट करने के लिए बड़ा मुहिम चलाया। आपने देखा होगा, एक पूरी इकोसिस्टम।
धर्म बदलो, भागो क्या मर जाओ।
Prime Minister Modi added that his concern is that the truth should be brought out in a proper manner.
मेरा विषय कोई फिल्म नहीं है। मेरा विषय है कि जो सत्य है उसको सही स्वरूप में देश के सामने लाना देश के भलाई के लिए होता है। सारी दुनिया मार्टिन लूथर किंग की बात करता है, सारी दुनिया नेल्सन मंडेला की बात करता है, लेकिन दुनिया गांधी की चर्चा बहुत कम करता है। पहली बार एक विदेशी जब गांधी फिल्म बनाई और ऑस्कर के पुरस्कार मिला, तब जाकर के दुनिया को पता चला गांधी इतने बड़े महान व्यक्ति थे। लेकिन आपने देखा होगा, इमरजेंसी, इतनी बड़ी घटना कोई फिल्म नहीं बना पाया, क्योंकि सत्य को दबाने का लगातार प्रयास हुई हमारे देश में।
Blood, tears and politics. The Kashmir Files has invoked some strong reactions. Several BJP-ruled states have exempted the film from entertainment tax, with some chief ministers even explicitly backing the recently released movie.
झूठ पे झूठ हो रहा है। जिस सरकार में भाजपा भागीदार थी, वो सरकार के दौरान सबसे ज्यादा कश्मीरी पंडितों का पलायन हुआ, जिसमें बीजेपी हिस्सेदार थी। जिस तरह से सिर्फ राजनीतिक फायदे के लिए कश्मीर को बर्बाद किया, कश्मीरियों को बर्बाद किया और कश्मीरी पंडितों को सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान किया।
वो फिल्म सच उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं हो सकता है, कुछ कम है और सच्चाई है उसमें। इसलिए देश को देखना चाहिए। कांग्रेस के कुकर्म को दिखाएगा, कांग्रेस के गलतियों को दिखाएगा, और टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग जो आज वोट के खातिर तुष्टीकरण कर रहे हैं, जो आज हिजाब को एक आंदोलन खड़ा कर रहे हैं, जो आज मुस्लिम कट्टरपंथ को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं, जो कांग्रेस आज कह रहा है कि हिंदू से ज्यादा मुसलमान मरा कश्मीर में, ये देश को बदनाम करने वाले।
तीर वही बदल सकता है जिसके पास ये पावर है, पॉलिटिकल पावर।
Directed and written by Vivek Agnihotri, The Kashmir Files depicts the exodus of Kashmiri Hindus from the state after systematic killings by Pakistan-backed terrorists.
तुम पर नहीं, पद्मश्री मुझे ऐसे ही नहीं मिला ना।
पद्मश्री आपको सरकार ने खामोश रहने के लिए दी।
देश की जो कैंसर है, टुकड़े गैंग, सबको एक्सपोज करती हुई ये जो फिल्म है, हर भारतीय को देखनी चाहिए और इसको टैक्स फ्री हर जगह करना चाहिए। और विवेक जी को, पल्लवी जी को, अनुपम जी को बहुत बहुत बधाई। उन्होंने पूरी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री को, जितने भी बॉलीवुड के किए हुए पाप हैं, आज इन्होंने धो दिए सबने।
While a whirlpool of politics and hysteria swirls over the Kashmir Files, has one of India's most blood-drenched chapters finally been dragged out into the sun? Bureau Report, India Today.
No, exodus नहीं।
Hello and welcome. Very rarely does a contemporary film evoke the kind of diverse reactions the Kashmir Files is generating. On the one side, you've got the Prime Minister commenting on the film, asking people to go out and watch it in large numbers. On the other side, you've got two ecosystems at loggerheads. One set of people loving the film, loving the fact that the plight of the Kashmiri Pandits has been brought out in its glory for the world to see. the other labeling the film as being biased and part of a larger political agenda. To talk about the kind of reactions the Kashmir File is generating, I am delighted to be joined in the India Today Mediaplex by Vivek Agnihotri, who's brought this film together. One of the finest legends of Indian cinema, Anupam Kher, is with us. And she looks like Arundhati Roy on the screen, but that's not who she is. Pallavi Joshi joins us. Thank you so much, and it's a delight to have you. And we've got with me as my co-anchor for this broadcast, Pooja Ashali. She's a Kashmiri Pandit herself, very passionate about the film. We're having a furious debate earlier in the news meeting.
Absolutely.
And we said Pooja must absolutely be here for this interview. So welcome, Pooja,
Thank
as
you.
well. There's a story very close to Pooja.
This was an opportunity I was not going to let go, for sure.
Vivek, I'll start by asking you about the kind of reactions the Kashmir Files is generating. And this is one film where we've had the Prime Minister, interestingly, urge people to go out and watch the film. And the opposition says, hey, we told you so. This is essentially Vivek Agnihotri, Anupam Kher and Pallavi pushing an agenda which suits the ruling dispensation. How do you react to the surround sound that we're seeing around the Kashmir Files?
First of all, Rahul, I'll just tell you how our brains are wired. You used in the introduction the diverse reactions. There is no diverse reaction. There is a monochromatic, unanimous, consensual reaction all over the world. All over the world. Anywhere in the world, not India. Frankfurt, Kenya, Norway, Finland, Australia, in these places, 4 लोग इकट्ठे नहीं होते हिंदी फिल्म देखने के लिए. There, they are jam-packed. You are not getting tickets. People are crying. People are clapping. They are saying, Bharat Mata ki jai. So don't use the word diverse. There cannot be diverse views on terrorism. Do not make an attempt to create narrative. It's a golden moment in the history of India, where in independent India, such a genocide took place. Not even one person called it genocide. We kept calling it exodus.
What do you think has led to this reaction? Because pandemic, after 2 years, theatres open, people are rushing, sponsoring tickets, because my timeline and the people I've grown up with are only talking about this film. And there is a debate. There is a debate to a certain extent on this film.
There's no debate.
But
no, there is no debate. You are creating debate. There is no debate.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. But my question is, what do you think has happened? Why are people suddenly rushing? Because your film did not have traditional marketing. It was word of mouth. People are telling each other. I am getting messages. Have you watched it? Why?
Why? It simply shows that all these establishments have failed. Establishment of historians, establishment of intellectual, establishment of media. I know Rahul won't like to hear this, but it is true. All the people who have made minted money, millions, all the people who have created so many TRPs discussing Kashmir, when the film on Kashmir Files was made, not even one TV channel. I was begging everybody, please give us space. Not one TV channel gave us space. When on 26th of January, for the first time, we displayed the map of Kashmir at Times Square, no TV channel cared for us. When the Capitol Hill invited us for the congressional reception, when the Democrat senators, when the Republican senators called and praised our film and admitted it was a genocide, not one media channel reported it. The people see it. Today, barbers, पान वाले, रिक्शे वाले, रेवड़ी वाले, जिनको आप लोग सिर्फ एक स्टैटिस्टिक समझते हैं, इंसान समझते नहीं है, today they are buying. रिक्शे वाले in Kanpur are giving free rides to people saying कि इस पैसे से आप टिकट खरीदो. ज्योतिषी लोग फ्री में हाथ देख रहे हैं. It's very easy to sit and कि गवर्नमेंट ने किया है. कहाँ थी वो गवर्नमेंट जब हम लोग अमेरिका में अपने पैसे से एक चवन्नी उधार ले लेके ये फिल्म गली गली घूम रहे थे? क्यों नहीं टीवी के वालों ने केयर किया? आज ये तूफान सैलाब जो फटा है, it shows the hypocrisy of Indian intellectuals have crumbled. It talks about Kashmiris, Buddhists, Sikhs, Christians, Gujar, Dalit, Dogras.
And the moderate Muslims also.
And every Muslim. The last scene, the most penultimate climax scene of the film is written by a Kashmiri Muslim boy without changing a comma and this thing. So the reason I am taking the pitch higher, because I don't want this audience to get confused that there is a debate, because there is no debate.
Okay, let Anupam Kher respond to this. I'm sure I respect what you're saying, and you know that we're very fond of you, but the fact is that there is a difference of opinion, and what we're trying...
But Rahul, I think the difference of opinion is ratio-wise 0.01% to 99.999%. Now, I'll have to agree, and I want to agree, and I totally agree with Vivek that if you also agree that there is no debate, there is no diversity, then there is no show. So let's just face that this, you can, okay, you want to say that government is endorsing this, but you can't make government people like the film.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't do that. You can't, I am getting phone calls from people who have not spoken to me for 20 years. And I totally agree with Vivek that let's not sort of create कि लोगों में अभी तक जो झुंड के झुंड सैलाब की सैलाब सुनामी की सुनामी लेके जा रहे हैं, let's just keep it as a film. Nobody, when people go into the cinema hall in the darkness of cinema, they don't see that person sitting next to me is a Muslim or sitting Christian or Sardar or Hindu. I think they see a film, they emotionally react to the film. They do not want to sort of say that they're not, it's not housing societies where they don't allow Hindus or Muslims or something like that. People, and that's the magic of cinema.
On social media, for example, let's begin. You see a lot of these people sharing documents, numbers, saying 100 died, 200 died, okay, 300 died, maximum 500,000 died. Is it a genocide? Why, through your film, you think it needs to be called a genocide if the number officially
You're a Kashmiri.
is
Let
not
me just
that
ask
high?
you that question directly. Do you think it's a genocide? It was a genocide?
So
no, don't be dispassionate. Don't become
Kashmiri Hindu की तरह बात करो यार.
Don't be an anchor.
Also a journalist.
आपके जवाब पर आज डिपेंड करता है कि पूरी कश्मीरी कम्युनिटी आपको क्या बोलने वाली है.
I don't represent the whole community, but I'll say for this myself.
आप कश्मीरी पंडित हैं?
हाँ जी.
है ना? आपको लगता है कि हमारे साथ जेनोसाइड हुआ था कि क्या?
अब मैं आपको बताती हूँ. Every Kashmiri Pandit I've spoken to who has faced 1990 said this.
Now, what are you saying?
I'll tell you.
I want that answer.
No,
don't.
I'll tell you why.
I want your answer.
आपके पेरेंट्स कहाँ? आपके पेरेंट्स कश्मीरी हैं?
बोलने दो ना आप.
नहीं.
Let us speak for ourselves.
No.
I'll tell you.
There's a tough question being asked.
Yes.
Do you think it was a genocide or exodus?
We are so used to calling it at max an exodus, maybe an ethnic cleansing, that even genocide, the same issue I have also faced, and I also believed till now that because the numbers officially are not so high,
forget the numbers.
For it a genocide.
No, but I think that's a bit of a bogus debate. The fact that it's a genocide can't be contested. The fact that Kashmiri Pandits were deliberately targeted and forced to leave their homes, and the fact that enough hasn't been done even over the last 7 years.
Let's stick to that kind of a thing. I'm only interested in this interview if you are sticking to the, don't make me or make us speak about and defend the film. After 32 years,
but why should there be anything to defend in the film? You've made a film the way that you see it, and that's the film that you made.
Those questions are making me feel defensive.
I will say this.
I'll have to defend. अरे ये genocide है कि नहीं है, exodus है कि नहीं, 4 लोग मारे थे, 5 लोग
Pallavi, why don't you read out what the most democrat, secular and liberal state in American United States thinks?
See, this was given to us.
दिखा दो, it's the official seal they have to see.
Can you see it in the camera?
Can we zoom in? Please just zoom in and focus on that. Yes, now you can read it out.
Social media पे available है.
This is available everywhere now. So we went for this 16 screenings in the US, a pre-release screening. And one of the places we screened this was at Boston. So Rhode Island में हमको ये, after seeing the film, this was sent to us. Dr. Surinder Kaul is sitting here. He got it with him when he came. It says, the state of Rhode Island, be it hereby known to all that the Rhode Island House of Representatives hereby offer its sincerest congratulations to Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri, director and filmmaker, in recognition of the premiere of the Kashmir Files, detailing terrorism and extremism by memorializing the events of 1990 in which 500,000 Kashmiri Hindus were ethnically cleansed in the Kashmir Valley by Islamic gangs and forced to live as refugees. And this is signed by the Speaker of the House, signed by the Majority Leader, and by the Minority Leader, which means the Democrats and the Republicans together, along with the Speaker.
And Dr. Kaul got it yesterday from America, so ऐसा नहीं हमने dictate.
I will say this, because I've known these survivors, I've known most of the families, we've all had them around them. I could not believe when I was watching the Kashmir Files that they've actually put it so directly on cinema, because I know how difficult it has been to speak. Darshan Kumar is not here, but you must go and tell them that I was that student who stood up in her classroom once confronting a professor on her Kashmir rhetoric, and I was ridiculed in return. I was My friends did not know, so they giggled and they said that they couldn't believe what I was talking about. So I know how difficult it was to actually have been able to see that on cinema finally. It has been difficult for the Kashmiri Pandits to have their voice out. I don't doubt that.
And that's why it's resonated so deeply with the community, because everyone feels it's their own.
You will be shocked to see blacks, Yazidis, Christians, Jews. आज मैंने वीडियो डाला है वो Jew औरत, वो कल मुझे भेजा किसी ने इंडियन ने. Why is she crying and she's saying there was another Holocaust nobody told us? And who was supposed to tell? Who was supposed to tell? One of the senior journalists went and she created an absolute biggest lie. She said that they left because they were the exploiters, oppressors. We have to stop this now. Enough is enough.
And nobody believed the Kashmiri Pandits, and it's
this film is about humanity. This film is about oneness. This film shows about education. I am surprised that we are sitting in an interview where nobody is asking me, oh boy, you have taken the humanity thing forward. You have spoken about education. Did you, if Mr. Steven Spielberg was sitting here, Rahul, put your hand on your heart, would you dare ask this question? They have diverse views.
Of course.
You will.
My job is to ask questions.
Anupam said,
I will. No,
okay, here
if I say that there is no...
No, hang on.
I must also speak. Let me make a point.
I'm your guest.
Of course you are, but let me make a point before you make your point. Let me just make my point.
I'm your guest.
Here's my point.
You are caught.
No, I'm not caught at all.
I'm your guest. Give me 10.
नहीं बात सुन लीजिए ना, आप बात ही नहीं सुन रहे, आप तो ऐसे गोली चलाई जा रहे हैं. AK-47 मुझे लग रहा है कि मेरा ही आप बुरा हाल कर रहे हैं. आप ऐसा जो आतंकवादियों ने कश्मीरी पंडितों का हाल किया, आप मेरे को बेचारे गोली मार मार के हाल कर. नहीं बात सुन लीजिए,
क्योंकि उसके आप भी सिंपैथाइजर हैं.
मैं किसी का सिंपैथाइजर नहीं हूं.
तो आप सवाल क्यों पूछ रहे हैं?
Because as Anupam bhai himself said, there has to be an interview. If I just stand up and start clapping for you,
no, don't clap.
Then how is that going to be an interview? I must challenge you. I must provoke you.
Ask me questions about my film.
I can't be here telling you how great you are. I'm supposed to ask questions, which is how we're supposed to have an interview.
Ask me tough questions about my film.
I am just coming to that. Now, one of the critical points, Mr. Kher, I remember you had made when you'd gone back to your home in downtown Srinagar, was about the desire, not just of yours, of Pooja's, of virtually every member of the Kashmiri Pandit community to go back home. To go back and to be where they were, houses sold off in distress at cheap rates. That hasn't really materialized despite favorable circumstances after Article 370. Why do you think that's the case? And can the film provoke that conversation, give it some energy so Kashmiri Pandits can start going back? How can that be possible?
It took us about 200 years to get independence. 200 years, millions of people died, and we waited for it. Finally, after before that 800 years, we were ruled by the Mughals, and after that, Britishers. It has taken us, the Article 370 has been abrogated about 3 years back. Before that,
lost due to the
2 years lost. उसमें ये फिल्म आ गई है. आप शायद उस शो में नहीं थे जिसमें यहाँ कश्मीरी पंडित बैठे थे, मगर it takes a little time. Change is not, we are not here to defend anybody, any particular government, and if the government has done a great job by abrogating Article 370, which the previous governments did not do, then it's, and they took pictures with the people, with the sympathizers of terrorists and separatists, and laughingly shaking hands, bringing them to Prime Minister's house. That's their outlook, how they go about it. But if the present government has abrogated Article 375 and 35A, and if the Prime Minister has made this appeal today to in the Parliament, I don't know where he said that, I think I want to applaud him for that.
Do you hope that this sparks and creates conducive for more people to go back?
People don't want to go back to the same places. They're horrified that they will be killed again. They're waiting. But look at the Kashmiri Pandit community. None of them picked up guns. They survived all these 32 years just because they believe in education, they believe in arts and culture and things like that, and they believe in belonging to the country they live in. Nobody is saying that it did not. The film talks about it. The Muslims in Kashmir have also suffered because of terrorism. The kind of infrastructure, the kind of development that is used by the youth of this country in the rest of the part of the country apart from Kashmir should be given to those people also. So let's not make it about one community to another community. This community is favored.
But do you think Prime Minister Modi needs to go out, meet them in camps? Dr. Manmohan Singh did, but this government has to prove because it has taken the initiative.
What you think? Abrogation of Article 370 is nothing?
I think it was a very important step.
It was. It is.
It is. As in, it has been taken. But
Yes.
do you think until there is this rehabilitation that happens,
it will take
many
time.
may just think that
It
this
will
was
take
just
time.
politics?
Did your parents live in a refugee camp?
My parents did not live in a refugee camp, but I'll tell you this.
So that means please understand the pain of.
I'll in fact
I think
add
the whole tone is it's a very real conversation. That's why we are sort of getting upset, angry, etc., which is very good because we.
No, I'm not angry. Don't misunderstand me.
No, I'm from a Hindi medium school, so I. जोश में आगे बोलना तो उसको एंगर बोलता हूँ.
I'll tell you something about a refugee camp, Rahul. When I went, there was one girl changing her clothes with trunks as on the pile. It is a very small room. Now, of course, they have apartments. I saw a girl very similar to my age. I must be 20 then, changing clothes behind the trunks while I lived fairly a privileged life in Delhi. So the moment I was wondering what will happen to this community, I saw this 10-year-old girl. I distinctly remember, I think it was Purkhor Jagti refugee camp, and she was busy with her books. She was doing her homework. She didn't even look at me. And that was the moment I knew that this community is sorted. And when his character says, "Mujhe kam paise ka lens do," because he has a grandchild to take care of, because padhai zyada zaruri hai. And my parents, even though we didn't live in a refugee camp, we lived in Delhi, but the focus of our families, our neighbors, people we have known, the focus was, don't think of anything else, padhai
That's a
karo.
true story, Pooja, you know.
When he
Have you
said
heard of martyr Major Amit in Kargil who died?
When he said it was
the
true.
story of his father. When his father, he had two options, either to get a expensive lens or a cheaper lens. His father opted for cheaper lens because he spent money for the study of Amit. He said, I want my son to go in army so that he can protect Kashmir.
Of a very supercharged conversation, but a conversation that must go on. At 8 p.m, we'll have that full interview coming up. I'm heading into a very short break. We'll shift focus to other issues because the big news of today was this setback that has come for hijab petitioners. Karnataka High Court upholding the ban on the Muslim girls wearing the headscarf inside the premises. The reactions that are coming in, what is the next step for the petitioners? All of that and more at 6:30 p.m. coming up. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime. Stay tuned.
Crypto Watch brought to you by BitBNS.
Can hear more blasts that are taking place. We are moving away from this area. We are being told to leave this area because it's not safe to be here. Kyiv braces for an imminent attack over the next 24 to 48 hours. With cameraman Pavan Kumar reporting from Ground Zero, Kyiv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting, only on India Today TV.
As Russia declared war on Ukraine, as the world was plunged again into crisis, with the only Indian team in the real war zone.
This is Mariupol. You hear a series. Hear this sound.
I will show you a quick, so to say, bombshell room tour.
I can smell the gunpowder in the air.
And without pause, India Today totally dominates viewership and smashes the competition. When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
President Putin is waging a hybrid war, and the latest escalation is in cyberspace with multiple cyber attacks. Cyber attacks targeting ordinary civilians and Ukrainian state-owned digital assets with the use of complex wiper malware and ransomware. As the Russian army continues to bombard Ukrainian cities, the Russia-linked Shuk group is targeting ordinary civilians by conducting cyber espionage attacks. Ukrainians